Hello everyone, and welcome to another World of Darkness news show. That was almost a perfect start. And welcome to this episode in which we're going to have a really cool guest, and I cannot wait to talk a little bit more with her. Welcome to everyone watching us live on Twitch, as well as those of you who are watching us later on YouTube. Last week we asked you about what would you want to change in the World of Darkness format and in the news format for our show, and whether you would like to see any of the improvements of our current format. And we are currently gathering all your feedback. We'll be gathering the feedback from YouTube as well, and you might expect some changes and refreshments going on to the show in the future. Cannot wait to share more about that, but as for now, still in the old format, let's see what we have for the news today. And we have plenty of things. First of all, we're going to talk about with Hadi von Schland about her YouTube channel, about her storytelling and everything she does for Vampire the Masquerade fandom. She is part of the family that creates this really awesome content for people that recently gets higher popularity. TikTok has brought a lot of people to Hadi's channel, mostly because of LA by Night and Jasper, who is getting tons of new fans, and she makes those really cool profiles for LA by Night characters, and you will be able to hear a little bit more about the creation of these and more from her today. She's also a very good person to go to for lore drops about Wraith and Changeling. So if you are curious about that, Hadi will tell us a little bit more about it today. We'll also talk about the collected version of the Vault comic, Winter's Thief, which looks great and is a really cool way for you to get all of the comic books in one. Cassandra Cole's stories on the World of Darkness Stories project, and translations for Shadows of New York and Coteries of New York. There are new ones arriving, and we're also going to introduce you to some of the new community chronicles which emerged in the past few weeks, and we are keeping an eye on them. So yeah, we're going to start with Hadi, and we're going to get her here on the stream to talk about all of the things family related. Let me join her on the call and see if she's there. Hello, Hadi.
Hi, Outstar. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. You look beautiful, and I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you.
So, Hadi, for those of our family members and people in the chat or in the comments who haven't seen you before, could you give us a quick introduction of yourself?
Sure. I'm Huddy, or Huddy von Schland, if you want to be super formal about it. And I make World of Darkness lore videos. I make LA by Night profile videos, and I recap the episodes of LA by Night. And I also storytell my own story called Blood on the Grand Strand.
That's great. And let's start from the very beginning, as we usually do in here. What were your first steps in the World of Darkness? When did you discover this fandom, and what was your introduction to it?
Well, I think like most people, and I think yourself included, maybe, Bloodlines was my introduction into it.
Yes.
Someone said, hey, play this old game that's kind of janky but kind of fun. It's about vampires. And I said, sure. And I got Nosferatu. I did the little quiz, which of course is the hardest one to play, especially for someone who doesn't know anything about it. And I fell in love with it, the world, the lore, and I got obsessed really quickly with it. And I started scouring the internet for like clues of what it was. And then I learned about the Tender beta event, and I started making videos about that because I was like, oh, I just played this game and I love it so much. And oh my gosh, they're making a second game. And then someone told me it was a tabletop game.
That's great. So it's amazing that you found out about the tabletop after Tender. That's so cool.
Yep.
And Tender also led to one little fun trivia from your influencer history with Vampire the Masquerade. Because I remember being on the event, Tender event in San Francisco, after the whole thing unfolded and the whole situation happened, we were given a newspaper which had some details about what exactly happened that evening, or what happened in the eyes of the mortals, let's say. And you had a little cameo in that newspaper.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was, but it was like someone who was seeking the truth, and my name was the answer for the crossword.
That's great. Yeah, so basically you started your journey with the Tender and Bloodlines. How was playing the very first time as a Nosferatu? Because I don't know many people who started their Bloodline story with a Nosferatu.
Well, I didn't realize I had to travel in the sewers most of the time, so I will say difficult at the beginning. But
Oh no.
my Nosferatu, I named her Fugly, of course, because I had no idea about anything. I was just like, oh, look how ugly she is. But I fell in love with her, and it was just the most fun. I wish I could go back and play it again for the first time as a Nosferatu.
That's great.
It was the most fun.
So one more trivia from Hadi's in general character sheet of Hadi. Let's say you have a special merit on your character sheet, personally, which is having an encyclopedic knowledge about LA by Night. So just to let chat and people in the audience know, Hadi has been extremely helpful recently for us, for me especially, when it comes to finding some particular moments of LA by Night. I'm preparing the little clips for TikTok. I remember about some moments which I really want to grab for there. And usually when I ask Jason, for example, Jason replies, oh, that was this season around this episode. And when I ask Hadi, she gives me a time mark in 15 seconds time or something crazy like this. So how exactly did you get on board of LA by Night, and where does that knowledge come from?
Where the knowledge comes from, how I retain the information, I can't tell you, the enigma of my brain. But so after I started making lore videos, I discovered LA by Night because I got these pictures that I put in the lore videos, and I think I was making the Tremere video, and it was a picture of Josephine McAdam, who plays Eva, and I thought to myself, oh, look, she's so beautiful, look, beautiful person. And I just like Google reverse image the search, and I saw LA by Night, and I was like, I have to watch this. And so I think I found it Christmas 2019, and I watched the whole thing in 2 weeks. And I'm like, I have to make videos about it because it's just the best thing ever. So I did. And I probably watched it in its entirety 10 or 11 times at this point, because I've made 30 videos about LA by Night so far.
That's amazing. And that's probably where the knowledge comes from, because it's really on point and it's great. So you made a series that I personally really love called the character profiles for LA by Night, starting from characters like Jasper or Annabelle to the storyteller. You even made a storyteller profile video. What was the idea behind that? And can you tell us what are you trying to encapsulate in these videos?
Well, when LA by Night switched over to the World of Darkness Twitch channel, a lot of people, I would reference things from previous seasons, and a lot of people would go, oh, well, where is that? I can't find that particular clip from this particular character. And so I thought, maybe it'd be a good idea if I just made individual videos, 30-minute videos about every character, because so much happens to them over the course of 4 seasons.
Yes.
So that's where that came from. And Jason's was a specific request from B. Dave Walters to make one about Jason.
Oh, that's crazy. So LA by Night's cast knows about these videos. They watch it and they give you comments about it as well.
Yes, I've gotten just beautiful comments from Josephine McAdam, B. Dave Walters. Jason has left multiple comments on my videos. They're just, just such wonderful, sweet, loving people.
They are, and you are as well. So you make a great group, and I'm very happy that you exist in the family. But your videos recently seem to have a specific influx of new viewers, and that is partially...
That is entirely your fault.
I mean, partially the fault of myself, but I guess it's your fault initially, because you helped me with finding the clips, and then I upload them, and then they go to your channel, so it's kind of like a...
Yes, I'll take half the blame.
Yes, have the blame on you. But you get a lot of new people coming to your Jasper video. And how are these people? What is happening in there? Because we've seen on TikTok that people who start to follow our channel in masses, they don't know even about the basics like role-playing or what is Vampire the Masquerade. They are complete rookies, and we are getting them in. So how are you experiencing this?
Well, in the beginning, it was just comment after comment of, what is this? What am I watching? Where am I? And I would explain it individually to each person. And then I decided to make a pinned comment with a whole bunch of, frequently asked questions. And then there's been an influx of a lot of people who don't speak English coming in and saying like, oh, I love this so much. I'm going to learn English just to watch this, which has been super sweet. I love to see it. And And then the third group has been people not super happy about these videos. They for some of them they think that I'm trying to tell them that vampires are real, or they think that this is some sort of satanic panic where I'm trying to, I don't know, influence children to do bad things. I'm not really sure, but it got to such an extreme point a few days ago that I had to amend the pinned comment and say, like, look, if you're going to post things about demons and Satan and stuff, you can't. You're going to be blocked and removed and reported.
Yes, we are experiencing this a lot on TikTok as well. I mean, the majority of people are super sweet and super interested, and they get that this is acting and role playing. But there is a lot of people who believe that we are pretending to be vampires for real, or we think that we are vampires, or we even are real vampires, which is probably the worst group. And they're trying to bring crosses and torches to our channel and burn Jasper specifically because Jasper.
Yeah, specifically what upset me about that, because I don't really care if people are weird in my comments, but specifically is that they like really wanted to focus on like, staking him and things like that, but we're being serious about it.
Yes.
So that was new.
Yeah, I mean, in general, it is not very new, as the satanic panic around the role-playing has been a thing for decades. So D&D experienced it back in the days, and I guess we're experiencing the new influx of people doing that now. And I'm sorry that these people find the way to your channel and leave the comments there. I'd rather we kept them at bay where they originally come from.
It's literally out of your hands. I just, like I said, I don't want any disparaging comments about the cast or the show or anything like that, especially when it crosses over into threatening territory.
Definitely. And I feel like there's also a lot of job to be done in introducing people to role-playing in general and what it is, because a lot of people have no idea and think that it might be a very weird kind of acting or maybe pretending to be vampires and trying to be vampires for real. So there's a lot of learning and education to be done in here, and I think you're doing a wonderful job with your channel doing this and getting like the first steps done. So apart from, of course, LA by Night profiles, you also have lore drops, and you specifically make some really cool videos about changeling and rave. What have you made already, and what people can find on your channel, and what are your future plans for expanding that library?
Well, I actually make videos on mage, werewolf, wraith, changeling, and of course vampire. Wraith is probably the one I've done besides vampire the most extensive. Basically, I try and make short, less than 10-minute long videos, because sometimes the lore of these different splats or different settings can be overwhelming, especially for things like mage. So I just try and make short things like, and I ask a question in the title, like for Wraith, who are the restless dead? Mm-hmm. What is a mage? And then I'll answer that question, and then I'll move on to something like, well, what happens when a Garu changes for the first time? And then I'll answer that question in that video.
That's super cool. I'm actually very curious, because we have the release of Rave, the Oblivion Afterlife, in 2 weeks on the very first platforms. So do you experience some new people coming to Rave and being interested in that?
Mostly when I do these other game settings, people come from Vampire, and then they see these and they go, oh, is this connected? Is this the same? And, I said, of course, this is the World of Darkness, and they, it's a connected setting, so to speak, not super well connected, but it is. And so that's sort of how that comes to play. I haven't specifically seen anyone say they've come from Wraith Afterlife, but for the most part, when I make those videos, people are generally really curious. They don't tend to know a lot about them. They just know vampire. So it's super exciting to introduce them to because there's so many monsters in the World of Darkness.
Definitely.
That's exciting for me.
Yeah, and I hope that people who are watching this are also going to go your way and check it out. And of course, after live releases, that you will get some influx for the rave videos as well. We're always happy that whatever we do can fuel channels like yours and make more people go your way. So speaking of your endeavors in general, from the person who was initially a Bloodlines player, then a person who watched LA by Night, you emerged as a storyteller recently in the public eye. At least, how was that journey going for you?
It's been going really great. I've only been storytelling since October of last year, but it's It's been incredible. I have incredible other incredible family members that I've gotten to storytell for, like the Primogen and Josh from Stitch of Fate and Gaming FTL,
Mm-hmm.
and I've gotten to storytell for some privately for some family members, which has been super fun. I love it. I would storytell every day if I could. I can't, but I would.
So let's start with the public chronicle that you are a storyteller of, Blood on the Grand Strand. What is it about?
Well, it takes place in Myrtle Beach, which is a place I lived for a few years, and it's sort of like the Atlantic City of the South, which is a place in New Jersey, and it's a very seedy. It's a tourist trap, which is great for vampires, a rotating door of necks. But I sort of have just focused on this personal horror of these characters. They all have some sort of backstory that's tries to keep them apolitical and keep them apart, but I'm pulling them into the politics of being what a vampire is, and they are struggling against it as best as they can. And they're it's a pull and tug. It's a losing battle, but they're working on it, and it's been great fun. We've had unexpected PC romances. I'm so excited about it.
So which clans are featured in your campaign so far, for those people who are interested in particular clans?
Well, we started the game about the time that the companion guide came out. So we have a Ravnos, Tzimitzi, Salubri, and a Tremere, which is the worst clan to be put into that mix.
That's absolutely amazing. I feel like the general synergies in between these clans are also a little bit different nowadays than they were back in the days. How does it work for your coterie? Without spoilers.
Everyone minus the Ravnos is a little apprehensive of the Tremere for obvious reasons. The Tzimitzi and the Salubri don't really get along. The Ravnos tries to keep the peace. It's a very and the Tremere is a fledgling, and she doesn't know very much about anything, and she's just trying to understand why everyone hates her just because of her clan.
Oh, no.
And it's an excellent dynamic, and they play the parts so well. It's been an absolute joy and a blessing to storytell for them.
That's great. And also, of course, because Companion released quite recently, we've seen some Salubri, Tzimitzi, and Ravnos in play already, but we're still, gathering the feedback from the players on how it is to play these clans. How does it work for you to use these new disciplines, new banes, especially Salubri, which seems to be very harsh in your chronicle?
Yes. well, our Salubri has been launched on multiple times throughout. We've done seven sessions or 7 episodes, and he's been launched on in at least 2 or 3 of them.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's inevitable because one of our Tzimitzi it doesn't is a blood leech, so it doesn't feed on people. So his hunger is often quite high, and it happens.
That's a very funny coterie: blood leech and the Salubri and a Tremere.
And a Tremere, yeah. And I had this whole other plot line going on where there is a thin blood drug going around that is, if a vampire consumes a human who has taken the drug, then they will go into irreversible frenzy. So feeding has also been difficult. So I've made it even more difficult because I'm that kind of storyteller.
That's great. No, I've been actually really enjoying playing Salubri myself, even though there's a lot of struggle going on with trying to survive every single day. But the difficulty is really fun. And I feel like your players also enjoyed the fact that even though you torture them in such a nice way.
I try to be nice about it. I try to be nice in my cruelty.
That's great. And speaking about your storytelling, you're also doing some storytelling away from the public eye, which I happen to know a little bit about. And this, like what you're doing, is something that interests me a lot, and I think it's going to be very interesting for our audience as well, because Hadi, ladies and gentlemen, is making a very interesting one-shots that each go with a specific theme. And can you tell us a little bit more about these themes that you're exploring?
Well, you were eavesdropping, I think, or listening in on the first one, which was speed dating in Elysium.
Yes. That was a Valentine's special.
It was a Valentine's special. That's the type of person I am. So I had this idea of the Prince of Boston. And again, Boston is where I'm from originally. So the Prince of Boston's a Malkavian who thinks himself to be Prince Arthur, or King Arthur, excuse me. And he wanted to do a competition, and so Kindred get to vie for being part of this competition, and they have to compete, and it's dangerous tasks that they have to do. And one of my players fell from a 700-meter skyscraper down to the ground, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun. I got to be flirty with my players and romance and the speed dating, and then they got to do the competition, which none of them were prepared for, and I didn't warn them about. So that was super fun.
I remember the original pitch for the series was we're going to have a one shot which is going to be basically speed dating, Valentine's special, a lot of romance, a lot of flirting, everyone with some hidden agenda, of course, so it's not fully romantic. And then I wasn't able to listen to the whole, and I came back afterwards and I asked the players how it was, and there was mentions of falling from a skyscraper and other horrible challenges you put them through. so that's great.
I was just trying to get into the mind of a Malkavian,
Absolutely. And now you are exploring yet another pretty original theme.
Yes. We're calling it, well, I'll say what Thin Blood Academy. We're calling it something else, but Thin Blood Academy is basically a bunch of high schoolers right before prom, which is usually what comes before graduation. They graduate from high school, got embraced, a sort of a mass embrace from the Anarch part of Boston. And they don't know what they are. They're like maybe 16, 18 hours embraced. And the Scourge is going to come for them. So it's sort of a mix between the Breakfast Club, because they're all going to meet in detention, and Scream.
That's pretty amazing. I really like the idea of trying to mix vampire with completely different themes, which are not easily associated with vampire at first, but trying to mix it up together, like making a V5 Regency one shot or something like this. It's really, really interesting.
I think the storyteller system can open a lot of doors. I think if you put your mind to it and just write down some ideas, you can tell some really cool, interesting, unique stories in the world of darkness. I think it's absolutely possible for anybody to do.
Definitely. And there's a very important question from chat. Do they actually want to go to prom? The Finland Academy vampires.
Well, they do. I made sure that their motive, because it's sort of your last hurrah, especially since all my players are European. Mm-hmm. It's sort of your last hurrah before you got to go to college, or you don't go to college, and it's responsibilities at adulthood and all that boring stuff. So it's sort of the last time you get to really party with your friends. It's a big milestone for a lot of American students. So. Mm-hmm.
So you go to prom, and then you have to go on for the eternity of being a vampire. That's probably a very good idea to go there and enjoy it. So for people in the chat and in our audience who would like to try their own luck with leading this kind of a one-shot and making their own vampire chronicle, just sit down with their friends on the weekend and try to make some kind of a fun theme with it. What is your approach to it? How do you plan it out?
Well, I get the idea mostly, and then for me, I usually associate it with some sort of other media that I've consumed, whether it's a book or another type of video game or a movie, and then I go, okay, well, how can I adapt that into the world of darkness? And I just sort of make little bullet points, and then I just sort of expand on it from there. I don't spend a whole lot of time creating this big, massive world. Because for me, a story is more about your players and making sure that they're having fun, letting them interact and do the role-playing. So I don't want to bog them down with too much stuff. I just want to give them a fun idea and let them run with it and see what happens.
That's great. I know that for one-shots and very short campaigns, it's specifically difficult to try to contain your ideas in those small scope. So how do you make sure not to go too overboard for your players to enjoy the story in this short bracket of time?
The very first time I storytold was for a one-shot for the Beckoning podcast, which you've been on before. And so basically I just had a time thing where I just kept checking the time, and I said, okay, certain milestones have to be hit at a certain hour. Mm-hmm. And no matter what was going on, I would sort of just inject myself and say, and then this happens, sort of a thing. Apparently I'm very good at it, as I've been told. So I can make them run a tight ship if I need to.
All right, we have a list of character sheets merits for Hadi. One is interjecting plot twists and plot devices at the particular time, torturing players, and knowing encyclopedically when LA by night moments happen, which is pretty great. So Hadi, what is your, as you are also, except of course for being a creator, you are a part of the family and you are interacting with the family every day in various ways. And what are your favorite ways of interacting with the rest of the community?
Mostly I'm on Twitter. That's what I do the most. I'm not super good on Discord. But I've been trying to be on TikTok more. I've been trying to jump into the comments when I see things that I could answer for people. But Twitter is probably the best way to interact with me.
So where can people follow you when they want to get to know more about your storytelling and of course watch your videos?
Well, Huddy von Schland is where I am everywhere. Even if you follow me on Instagram, although I never post there, I'm Huddy von Schland on every social media.
And so when it comes to Blood on the Grand Strand, how much would people need to catch up right now? Which episode are you guys in?
Well, we have just finished our first season, and we've had an overwhelming amount of support and love for the show, which I think surprised all of us how many people are excited about it. And the second season is to be determined at the moment.
Right.
But seven episodes, I think.
All right, I can't wait to hear more about when the second season is going to happen. Make sure to let us know on Twitter, and we're going to let other people know that Blood on the Grand Strand is coming back in the future. And in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us, Hadi. It was a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you for having me on. It's great.
And I will be looking forward to more of your videos, and I will probably also annoy you a lot about LA by Night.
Annoy me anytime about LA by Night.
Thank you so much, Hadi, and see you later. Bye.
Bye.
So guys, that was Hadi, and as you can hear, Hadi is absolutely amazing. She's a really valuable part of the family, sharing all this content with you guys and really making very good videos that are summing up a lot of trivia and lore for family members who want to expand their knowledge or maybe remind themselves on some aspects which they've read about back in the days or maybe parts of the LA by Night. I think once the season 5 is going to come, fingers crossed, her videos are going to be extremely useful for all of us to remind ourselves about all of the things that happened in the past seasons. And there's also some predictions and speculations on her channel. So if you want to get hyped a little bit more for the next LA by Night content, then I recommend you guys to check her out. She rocks, she really does, and I'm very happy that we have her there. So now for the news portion of the show, I have some news to share with you guys. First of all, this is something beautiful. I don't have, unfortunately, it on my desk just yet, but I've seen it on the camera just yesterday when I was talking to Jason because he received his own copy and it's gorgeous. Winter's Thief, Vampire the Masquerade comic books from Vault received the very first compiled version, which is called Book 1, and Book 1 consists, Winter's Thief Book 1 consists of issues of 1 to 5. So it's much thicker than the single issue, and it of course contains also all of the role-playing content which is added with each of the issue. So for those of you guys who don't know, Winter's Thief is a comic book with 2 stories that are consisting of Camarilla and Anarch. Camarilla in the front and Anarch in the back, however this sounds. But the additional content which is added to Winter's Thief is the V5 disciplines and the V5 lore sheets as well, which you can use in your chronicles. They were officially sanctioned and approved by our team, so they are something that you can use in your chronicles, which was run through our Karim, of course, our brand editor, and he accepted them all for the play. So there's some new content for the role-playing there as well, and it's all compiled, the very first 5 issues, and the rules additionally are compiled in this the very first book 1. So if you want to get on board of Winter's Thief instead of buying the singular issues, and if you want to get a little bit more of a compilation, this is a very good start. So not only that, but of course later this year in I believe August, Winter's Thief is going to be a part of the free comic book day in US. So you may expect the very first issue to be free for everyone that is visiting any stores in US. There is going to be, I think, over 3,000 stores and libraries taking part in this action. So Winter's Thief is going to be free, the very first issue, and this is going to be a good next step. So after you read the very first issue, you can get the book one, which has the first 5 issues. So it really looks great. The comic is gorgeous and great. I think that you've read the reviews so far. If you haven't, I really recommend to check them out online. Beautiful, beautiful drawings, very dark and a little bit of a retro atmosphere. I think some of the images and covers remind me of the old World of Darkness of the 90s, and it has this very specific atmosphere to it, which is great. And of course, it's all based on V5. There's a lot of new content from the books that you were able to get to know recently in the comics. So yeah, absolutely recommend it. I think it's a very good compilation. So in Canada and all the other countries, you can order Winter's Thief on Amazon. The free comic book day is specifically an American thing, so it's specifically for US. But when it comes to all other countries, you can order Winter's Thief on Amazon easily, or it should be also available through retail. You just gotta ask whether they are distributing your favorite stores, whether they're distributing Vault Comics. But it should be available in retail as well. Okay, so I am going to jump into the news number 2. This is something that I am personally very excited about. Stories project, which is something that we've been running for a while right now. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, World of Darkness Stories is a collection of micro-narrative stories which we are sharing for free on social media. These stories are done in the way of talking from the personal perspective of various vampires living in the World of Darkness. So far, all the stories we have published, they are all from different vampires. So, and not only vampires, there was at least one werewolf in there, and probably also some mortals or ghouls. But majority of the stories are about kindred so far, and they are from all over the world, and they share their everyday struggles, their everyday problems, their everyday mindset and lifestyle with the interviewer, basically. So it's kind of like someone would ask the kindred about their life, and they would get an honest answer, or maybe not fully honest sometimes. But you may read these stories on our Instagram, Tumblr, and Facebook. So they are available on these 3 places. And this week we have the very first guest writer who is specifically sharing her stories. And that's Cassandra Cole. You may know her from Walk Among Us audiobooks, which we shared on last year, I believe. This year they will finally get the printed edition, so you'll be finally able to get Walk Among Us book, the Vampire the Masquerade novellas, which are super good. And Cassandra is writing from the perspective of her vampires, but also giving the background of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. She is native to Malaysia, she lived in there, and she is very much knowledgeable when it comes to that region culturally, and because of her own connection to that region. So we are looking for authors specifically which are connected to the places they write about. So that's why we want to really encapsulate the world in the World of Darkness in this project. So Cassandra has been has written 3 stories for us. 2 are already published. The 3rd one is going to be published today. And all of these stories are, again, from a very personal perspective of completely different kindred. So not all of these kindred are people you're going to like. Not all of these kindred are people that you're going to empathize with. Some of them might have some very hardcore opinions and very hardcore approach to their own life. We've written some stories before which were, for example, from the eyes of the Anarch, and the other was from the eyes of the Camarilla member, and they both had very contrasting views on how vampire politics should be done. So we are going to publish more stories which are going to show completely different perspectives. Some of them are going to be relatable, some of them maybe not. So I recommend you to check them out and let us know which ones are your favorite, because I think this is a project which I really enjoy to just read and interact with on a daily basis. Will it be printed eventually? We got some questions about potential printing of what stories. We have no decision just yet, or nor announcements, but we are, as for now, expanding this project for free on social media, and we'll see what gets from that. You may expect more authors to appear in there, and you also may expect the call for community submissions. So we are encouraging people to read the stories to get the general style and the general way that we are trying to make these and write these, and we would love to see some more stories from your characters. If you are playing in a chronicle, if you have your own role-playing chronicle with your players and you want to encourage them to talk a little bit more about themselves in character, then this is something that we are absolutely going to look for, and we are going to make a call for action officially and the ways that you can submit these stories. So follow us on social media and you will be able to get the announcement about that. Are you going to showcase different country stories? Yes, so far we have been showing stories from all over the world. There's been stories from Europe, various European countries, from US, from various Asian countries. So under every post you can scroll down and see a pin which shows the place where the story is from. Very often the picture as well is specifically from that location in which the story takes place. So there's a lot of connections in there, and every story has a pin with the geographical location. So this may also help you get some inspiration for your V5 Chronicles. If you are making chronicles in particular places, then this is going to give you some probably NPCs which you can interact with. And of course, if there are some places which you would like us to explore, then let us know. We would like to know which places you would like us to write about and from where the stories should come from, because we have the whole world to explore. All right, so yeah, Cassandra, first 2 stories published already. The third one is going to be published today, and more authors and more stories to come. Now, about the translations. We have great news from Draw Distance. Coteries of New York and Shadows of New York are getting brand new translations. Coteries of New York is going to be translated into Spanish, and Shadows of New York is going to be translated into Brazilian Portuguese, and more translations are to come. Draw Distance haven't announced yet what the other translations are going to be, but there are already some available, and these 2 are going to come next. So for those of our folks from South America, from Latin America, I hope that this is going to be good news for you and you're going to enjoy it. We're very happy that Draw Distance heard your call, because we know that there was a lot of questions for these particular translations, and this is a response. We're very happy that this is happening. We have no hard dates for these, so follow Draw Distance on social media and you're going to get to know more about that. And I made a mistake for not putting the next in the next, because I'm the worst, but it's okay. I'm going to check out the chat very quickly for possible questions up until now. More stories from Belo Horizonte, Brazil, where you're from. I think there are already 2 stories from Brazil in general, but none from Belo Horizonte in particular. So good to know. I'm sure that we are going to get more stories from Latin America in general. I am very much looking forward to getting some Latin American writers on board as well, so we can get some direct stories from there. And yeah, this is one of the regions which we really would love to explore more in the stories. Let me check out more stories from Spain. I don't think we have a story from Spain yet. We have one from Italy, that's for sure. But yeah, absolutely, we're going to look into making more stories from there as well. Any stories from Nordic countries? Actually, not yet, but we absolutely should, because we are in a Nordic country in here, and there's, I think, a lot of potential in writing some stories from here. It's a very good place to be a vampire, especially during winter. I've spent my very first winter in Sweden, and I can absolutely attest that this is a very good place to be a kindred. Stories from France. I don't remember whether we had a particular story from France just yet, but it's definitely also a region which we need to explore. Stories from Canada. I need to get a list of the places we have the stories from already, because we have plenty of stories already, but I'm not really sure whether from these particular regions. I know we have one from Belarus, or actually 2 from Belarus, from India, Indonesia, from USA, from Malaysia. There's a lot of going on. Let me just see very quickly. Yeah, we're going to, of course, go on Instagram, write in the comments what kind of places you would like us to explore. It's instagram.com/World of Darkness or facebook.com World of Darkness Stories or whatstories.tumblr.com. And in either of these three places, you can drop the countries which you like us to explore, and we will be looking forward to that. And when it comes to other IPs, because a lot of people are very often asking about these, What Stories already explores Werewolf the Apocalypse a bit. There's the little hints to that. There's one story which is specifically werewolf story, but definitely we're going to include more in the future. We're looking forward to include more rave stories pretty soon because of the Rave the Oblivion Afterlife release, and that happens in just 2 weeks from now on. So you may totally expect more rave stories to come. All right, so I'm going to jump to the next news, which I actually haven't put down here because that's just my fault. Sorry, but I want to give you guys some little heads up about the new chronicles coming. I've got some messages from family members recently that there are new chronicles appearing from V5 family members and from people who are getting into V5, and there is something that combines all of them, and that is the LGBTQ aspect. And there's 3 new chronicles from various V5 groups which have emerged recently, and they are called Queen's Court Games, Tabletop Titties, and Direcast. So these 3 are the new ones which we are starting to listen to right now. We are absolutely in love with the quality and everything that they come up with so far. So to give you a little bit more background on these, Direcast has contacted me personally to say that this is something that I need to listen to because it's dark and mysterious, yes, but also fluffy and gay and with a heavy dose of shenanigans. Fun for all the VTM family. So Direcast is, this is how they promoted their chronicle to me. There are, I think, 3 episodes out already, so you can check them out on the Direcast website. Just write Direcast in Google and you will find it very easily. TDs by Night is a Vampire the Masquerade podcast and stream set in Victorian London. Join our coterie of supernatural investigators as they keep the creatures of the night at bay. So that's something that I'm also looking forward to listen to. And Queen's Court Games, that's interesting. So they are basing their whole chronicle on Chicago by Night book and setting. So the chronicle in Chicago by Night is being used by Queen's Court Games. And Clara Herbal, who is one of the authors of who worked on Chicago by Night, she wrote to them on Twitter that they are storytelling her story better than she would, which is a great compliment from the author of Chicago by Night. And all of these have a very cool social media presence. Some of them also have the audio tidbits, so you can actually listen to the fragments of the show. Queen's Court Games in particular, they have those little audio tidbits on their Twitter, which you can just check out whether you're interested in how it sounds or not. But yeah, I'm very happy that this is happening, and there's a lot more stuff to listen to appearing online. We have a lot of the V5 Chronicles from fans going on right now. There's, of course, Stitch of Fate, which received some excellent prizes recently. Hadi is running Blood on the Grand Strand. There's Pittsburgh by Night and Stream of Blood, which is really doing great, and there are magnificent actors in the cast in there, and many, many more. So if you are one of these people who are running these campaigns, or if you want to check out more fun campaigns, visit our Discord. That's discord.gg/World of Darkness. There's a lot of people advertising their chronicles there, and if you are looking for something in particular, some themes, I'm sure that people there will be able to help you, putting you in the right way and give you some recommendations. So yeah. I am definitely enjoying a lot of these. And oh my god, there's someone saying in the chat, it would be so great to have Jason narrate some of the stories in podcast form. I am very happy that you're saying that. I mean, I can tell you about that. I think I am, today I spent some time editing our very first stories video, which is going to be on TikTok and on our Instagram, which is one of the stories narrated by Jason Carl. And that's what I've been working on today. I am actually, I'm not sure if I will have time to publish it just today, but hopefully tomorrow you'll be able to hear Jason Carl storytelling, not storytelling, but narrating one of the stories which we've published so far in the video form. So yeah, I'm very happy that someone actually said that this is a good idea, because hey, we're doing it. So yeah, that's something that we are absolutely exploring, and we want more of these stories to go into audio. All right, guys, that's it for this week. That's been, I think, plenty of fun stuff, and I'm going to see you next week. We are currently in full blazing way into the release of Rave the Oblivion Afterlife. We are, of course, have more video games on the way, which we are, preparing to give you some more info from. And of course, we are very deep in work on the TTRPGs. So we are working on the new instances in the TTRPG. Publishing in the TTRPG library of For the Darkness books. For sure, you know that V5 is expecting Sabbat and Second Inquisition to come as the next 2 books, so that's what we are working on right now, and we're working on more. So we're going to give you more of that soon. Also, Justin Aquila is working on more dev blogs. If you haven't read our past dev blog, it's available on our website. It's worldofdarkness.com. So you can go there to read his take on the design of clans. So how we are approaching designing clans in V5, which I think is a very interesting piece of text. And there's also the reference sheet attached to it, which is a helpful way to introduce your players to clans in V5. And we are expecting more of this kind of content, which is going to both tell you a little bit more about how we design the TTRPGs in-house, and also about how you can use the ways we design it in your chronicles, in your storytelling, and there's going to be more of that soon. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining me today, and I am going to leave you here. Stay safe and don't get lost in the night. I'm going to see you on Discord if you have more questions. Remember to go to discord.gg/World of Darkness and bombard us with questions. Mention me. I'm there. So thank you so much, guys, and see you later. Bye.